Today we have Danica. She's going to be talking about how to plan your professional, personal life like a pro. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to her.
Hello, everyone. I am Danica Holdaway. I am Holdy's wife, in case any of you have interacted with him. And in interactions with him, and Bree will know this, you may think, how on earth could his wife be qualified to teach planning, because that's not one of his strongest suits. But as they say, opposites attract. So it is a strength of mine that we work on. But as it says here, I am a certified control freak. I have, from my youngest days, been really into writing everything down and lists and planning and color coding. I'm not going to try to turn you into a robot planner like I am, but I have learned a lot, and I teach these planning classes in my neighborhood and community and at schools and stuff to help teach people to better plan their lives so they can take advantage of what they want to do, use their strengths, avoid their weaknesses, and just crush it. And I think it's especially helpful for you guys as you're working through Lambda and going on this, some of you, a big pivot or career change, to kind of take a deep look at how you run your life and how you plan so that you can maximize for job searching, for new jobs, and just your life in general. So we'll go ahead and get started. So that's me, and that's Holdy, and those are two little girls. Don't tell him I showed you that picture. He probably would not have approved that one. I am a former junior high teacher. I taught for 4 years, and it was awesome, and I loved it. I'm a mother of 2, and I'm Holdy's wife. I'm a self-help book addict. I've read pretty much every self-help book that I can get my hands on, especially like the more modern, pop culture-y ones I really, really like. I'm a lifelong overachiever. I do bullet journaling, if you've ever been exposed to that on Pinterest or the internet or Tumblr. Basically, you make your own planner and draw it all in, which is helpful because I'm crazy type A. So getting started, this is just like kind of a brief intro. You need something that works for you. I don't know what that is. You have to decide what that is, but you need something that works for you. Most of you, it's probably going to be Google Calendar, iCal. Incredibly useful. They are always adding updates that make it even more effective to plan your life and all the other things that you have going on. I'm a big fan of that. I use Google Calendar, but I also use paper planners and bullet journals. That can work really great for a lot of people, especially if you're the kind of person that has to write something down to have it stick in your brain. A paper planner can be incredibly effective for you. A wall, desk, fridge calendar, even just a big one that you could put big dates on, can be super helpful, depending on how visual you are. Any combination of those. As a control freak, I use all of them. I have a giant calendar that helps me see visually the whole month at a time. I use a paper planner for just writing down notes and day-to-day stuff, and then I use Google Calendars for all my appointments and stuff that I need to remember what I have on certain days. So you need something that works for you. And I would say just because you're doing something right now doesn't mean it is the most effective for you. If you've always used Google Calendar, it may be worth trying a paper planner or a wall calendar or something else in addition to that, or to see if that's better for you, and vice versa. I think in today's day and age, it's always important to have some kind of electronic record of your time, just because you're always going to have your phone with you. Most of you are going to be on your computers most of the day with this, career that you've chosen. So having some kind of electronic version is always smart, but there are definite benefits to having paper and visual versions as well. Color coding is maybe not beginner entry level, but it may be something that's incredibly useful for you guys. Google Calendar and other iCal, they allow you to change the colors of different things. In a paper planner, there's a variety of different, I use a bunch of different colored pens, and I've chosen different colors for stuff. So for you guys, you have to decide what's going to work best for you. But it just helps your visual so much to be able to see by color what you're looking at. So you could do it by project. So if you are, I know it's very common to have freelance gigs on the side for developers. Maybe you make all of your Lambda school or whatever your new job is blue, and then your freelance gig is in purple so that it stands out and you can see what those deadlines are and say, okay, yes, this is this, this is this. For your family events, all my family stuff is in orange. So I can see really quickly, okay, we've got this thing with my in-laws on this day, this is my parents on this day, because it's in orange and it stands out. So by person, that can make it really easy. As a mom, I have to plan for other people. You know, I have to plan for my husband, I have to plan for my 2 kids. So there's a different color for every person in my family. That can make it really easy too, to just at a glance be able to see color-wise what you're looking at. By type of task. So if you are the kind of person who blocks out, okay, this is my code time, I'm doing my 3-4 hours of code today, here's my code time, and that is great. But then if I have a specific phone call with, you know, I have stand up with my, you know, whatever, that could be a different color because that's a different type of task. That's a more engaged task where you have to be not working on things, you're just focused on that phone call, that interview, that meeting, whatever it is. So in your professional life, that can be incredibly helpful to say, okay, this is my head down code time, this is my meeting time, this is my pair programming or whatever time. That can help you kind of block it out and see, okay, on this day, I have nothing but meetings. That's not going to work, or that's not going to be effective. Or this day, I have nothing but work time, so I might need to break that up. So just color coding helps you visually be able to see where you're spending your time, and if you're spending too much time on one thing or another, or, okay, this day is all blue, and that is going to be so rough, so I'm going to plan an easier evening, or the next day is going to be a little bit easier to help me recover. Okay, so I'm a big fan of color coding. Just try it. Give it a try. Use it in your Google Calendar. See how you feel about it. I would say the biggest thing for getting started is you have to make it a habit. Figure out when it's going to work best for you, but every day you should be looking at your calendar. You should be looking at your plan. Whether that's when you first get into the office, or if you're working from home, when you first settle into your computer. Maybe that's on your lunch break or right before you go to bed. Start today, put it into your to-do list or your workflow, whatever it is, and make it a point to be checking your calendar every single day. That might seem excessive to some people that prefer to just kind of go with the flow, but I would say that that's when you forget deadlines. That's when you get stuck. Oh my gosh, I've got, 300 things that I have to do before this day. Checking ahead is how you start just moving away from being a hot mess or disorganized to having control over your time. And that's really what planning is about, is making sure that you're using your time the way you want to use your time. When you aren't planning for it, you're not taking the bull by the horns. You are letting time happen to you instead of utilizing it to, take care of whatever your big goals and ideas and projects are. So those are our like starter things. You need some kind of system that works. Try some color coding and make it a habit. This one is a little trickier, but I truly, truly believe in this one. And this is where like it takes your planning to the next level and helps you maximize your whole life. I don't think that the parts of your life exist in a vacuum. I think they're all happening to you all day long, all the time. So some people are only using their calendar for work stuff. And I think that you are really losing an important opportunity here to integrate and maximize your time. So I would say start experimenting, integrating your calendars so that you have one calendar that's going to have all of your information, all of your time on it. That would include your personal stuff. So do you have doctor's appointments? Do you need to do the laundry on a certain day or take out the trash? Your professional calendars. When do you have your stand-up meetings? When do you have, certain projects due? When all of your deadlines. Your family. When are your family members' birthdays? When are you supposed to have family dinner or a wedding or whatever else that's going on in your family or other members of your family? Me and my husband have a shared calendar so that he knows when I'm going to be there, when I'm not going to be there. When I have things planned for the family, it shows up on his calendar too. so that he knows, okay, I shouldn't plan anything because we've, got to go to this thing that I'm going to grumble about, certainly. Your social calendar. So when you have friends invite you to something, or you want to go to a certain concert, or you want to make plans to see that college roommate that's in town, putting those all on one calendar has so many benefits just because they all affect each other. If you are working on, trying to schedule a vacation, it's so helpful to see, okay, I have 5 deadlines that week. That's probably not going to be a good week. Or if you have a big family party some night and it's going to include some travel time, then maybe that day means you're going to have to wake up a little earlier or whatever. It will affect your work schedule. So having those integrated is so, so critical, and the use of multiple calendars can help with that. So like shared calendars with a spouse, with roommates, with your family can honestly make your life easier. It sounds like it's a hassle. It sounds like it's overboard, but that's how you stop overbooking your time. That's how you start making sure that you don't have a crazy day at work and then not have anything left for your personal life. And balance is critical. And I think all of your Lambda instructors, future bosses, they would say that's what they want. They want you to have a balanced, happy life so that you can do your very best. So that's why this whole presentation is both sides. It's not just your professional and coding life, but it's also all of the other good things, because they should go hand in hand. Okay, there's 2 parts to good planning. 2 parts, 2 steps, 2 pieces. Okay, the first is planning ahead. The next is planning the pieces. Okay, so planning ahead and planning the pieces. I'm just going to dive into those really, really quickly, one at a time. Planning ahead. So you would start with today. Do you know what you're doing for the rest of the day today? As a Lambda student, I know a lot of your time is scheduled and laid out and given to you, which is good. It makes this really easy and helpful. So when you're planning today, when you're looking ahead for today, obviously priorities factor in. And that seems so self-explanatory, but you would be surprised how much time we spend on things that are not priorities. So constantly reminding yourself and evaluating your priorities can help you better use your time and feel like at the end of the day, you're not logging off your computer and saying, wait, what did I even do today? And instead say, I worked on that thing and I didn't make a ton of progress, but that is the most important thing. And then it's easier to let go of that and be able to move on with the rest of your life. The Pomodoro method, and I've heard this called a bunch of different things. You may have heard of it, you may not. It's basically setting timers that help you to focus for short bursts and then have, a step away moment. This works incredibly well, I think, especially for developers and people who are on a computer. Sometimes it's really easy to lose time. All of a sudden you realize you've been staring at the same chunk of code for an hour. The Pomodoro method helps you maximize your focus. It works really well for both personal and professional stuff. So basically, you have to kind of tinker with it. I think there is a set time that they say, but tinker with it to find what works for you. Maybe 20 minutes is the exact right amount of time for you to focus. So you set a timer for 20 minutes. You say, I'm going to go at this piece of code, or I'm going to clean my kitchen, or I am going to finally fold some laundry, but I'm only going to do it for this amount of time. And you set a timer. And then you figure out what you're going to do when that timer goes off. And you have, 10 minutes of rest or rejuvenation or free time. Mine was about, I would do like 30 minutes of work and then 20 minutes of something else. So it's, okay, I'm going to work on, I'm a freelance writer. So it's like, I'm going to work on this freelance writing project for, 30 minutes. And then I'm going to watch an episode of The Office and then I'll come back to it. It helps you not dig yourself a hole. It also helps you to focus better. I usually put my phone on airplane mode. I turn off the TV. I'll shut the door and turn off all distractions so I can focus for that amount of time. Then take a break. Watch The Office, get a snack, play with my kids, whatever I want to do. And then I can come back more refreshed. Timers are incredibly helpful. And especially if you work from home, I found this with Ryan, especially as myself, as I'm a freelance writer, it is really easy to lose track of time, and you don't have other people going to lunch or leaving for the day as your normal indicators that like, oh, yeah, I've been doing this for a while, or I need to stop. So timers are incredibly, incredibly helpful. So try that out today. At the end of the day, what is unfinished, and find some way to document that. Because there are so many times that you didn't quite finish a task, or you got interrupted, or somebody called you, and you have unfinished tasks, and then the next day you get up and you start working on what you're planning on working on, but the unfinished tasks from yesterday did not get finished. So some way of documenting your rollover items. These things are still ongoing, whether that's professional tasks that you're working on, whether that's laundry that got switched but needs to be taken out, whatever it is. What are those unfinished tasks that should roll over to tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow, when you're planning tomorrow, making an attack plan the night before, or first thing in the morning. Okay, here is what I'm doing. I'm going to do this, this, and this. Those are my priorities for tomorrow. Setting alarms, as a mom especially, I found this to be helpful. I have preschool pickup and drop off 3 days a week while my toddler, I guess she's not a toddler anymore, while she goes to school. So I have alarms set in my phone that I turn on the night before that remind me when it's time to leave and when it's time to go pick her up. Just because you can get so caught up, you don't know what's going to happen. You may be out to lunch with your friends, you may be on a phone call, and an alarm can just help you stay on track for what you're supposed to do. If you have an appointment scheduled, if you need to leave at a certain time, if you want to be done with work at a certain time, set an alarm the day before so you remember when that goes off, yes, I'm going to do this. This is why smartphones are so amazing. They can really help you maximize your time and not go down a rabbit hole. Looking at your day as a whole, and what I mean by that is, it's, again, I'm being a dead horse here. It's not just your professional life. What else is going on tomorrow? Do you have lunch with a friend? Do you need to wear a certain outfit because you're going out to dinner or you have a date later? Do your kids have things going on? Do they have stuff at school? Is it pajama day? Whatever. What are some other things that are going on? And make sure that those are all on your list, so you're not just looking at your work stuff, because again, it all bleeds together. So what is your day as a whole? Are you making dinner later? Do you have to take something out to thaw? Do you need to start a crock pot? Do you need to stop by the grocery store on your way home? All of those things should come together. That's your day as a whole. I'm really sorry about this, but you kind of have to plan ahead for your weekends. You do not want to lose that time. And weekends, I feel, are things that are really easy to drop off your radar. You just think, oh, it's the weekend, I'm just going to do what I want, or I have one plan to go do this thing. And that's great. I love a weekend of doing nothing, as long as that's what you intended. So thinking ahead to your weekend and saying, you know, this weekend, I really, really do have to finally go return that thing, or I have to go get my oil changed, or whatever it is. Plan ahead and decide exactly when you're going to do it, so you don't lose it. Because I think sometimes our weekends just slip away and we're left on Sunday night with that, you know, those Sunday blues, coming back trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I didn't do that, I didn't do that. So it was a great relaxing weekend, but it would be more relaxing if you were able to take care of a few things and plan. Yep, I'm sleeping in this day, we're hanging out, we're going to go see a movie. Planning the relaxation actually can make it even more satisfactory, I promise. Plan ahead or lose them, that's what I said. Muscle memory, oh yeah, basically just, they talk about this with sleep. If you really screw up your sleep schedule over the weekend, it bleeds into your week, and I would argue that planning is the same way. If you are in the mode of planning your time, of looking ahead and scheduling things, it just strengthens if you can do that through the weekend too. Instead of your weekends being like a, you know, no rules Wild West situation, if you're looking ahead and continuing to practice this, looking ahead, planning, writing things down, it just helps you take better care of your time in general. Next week, looking ahead to next week. My brain has always just kind of worked like this. I always think in increments of like 2 weeks. And that's not the case for everyone. but it is an important part of planning for both your professional life and your personal life to be thinking ahead. What is going on next week? What work tasks do you have? What home or other miscellaneous tasks do you have next week? Meetings. Are you meeting with this person? What time is that going to happen? What do you need to do to prepare for that? Your workouts. I'm a big fan of planning your workouts, scheduling them in advance. I found I'm much more likely to do that. And integrating that with your professional and personal social calendars can make it a little easier, because sometimes you look ahead and say, you know what, that's going to be a rough day. There's no way I'm going to want to hit the gym after that. I'm just going to want to go home. Or maybe the opposite's true. That's a really rough day, so I need to go punch a punching bag. Whatever it is that works for you. But look ahead to your week and say, these are the days I'm most likely going to be able to get my workout in. So let's schedule those so that they are prioritized. Meals is a big one. Planning next week's meals can help you spend less on groceries, eat a little healthier, eat the stuff that you want, use what's in your fridge. It's also important, I talk about this with my husband all the time, planning what days he's going to lunch. He has a lot of lunch meetings with different people, and so some days he's home for lunch and hasn't planned it. Some days he's out for lunch and hasn't planned it. So planning ahead to say, okay, these are the days I'm going to lunch. These are the days I will be home, so that you can get the groceries you need, that you can plan to eat the leftovers you made. It sounds silly, but it honestly makes your life much, much smoother. It can make you healthier and save you money. So thinking in terms of next week is definitely worth the extra time. Next month, deadlines. Do you have your big project due? Your Lambda Labs stuff. Do you have, that big deadline for your freelance client, or that your boss wants you to finally complete that branch of this project needs to be done? Do you have certain bills due? Do you have stuff that you need to buy? What are those deadlines that are next month? Just so that you're aware of them, so they're not sneaking up on you. Your days off. Everybody loves looking ahead to the days off, and I think it can really help your day-to-day morale to plan ahead and know what days are off. What days are you not going to have to work? What days are you going to be able to travel or sleep in? Just know when those are. Next year, I'm a big fan of planning a year in advance, just looking ahead to the year that's coming. Holidays are easy, and you can, most of your Google Calendar, iCalendar is going to auto-populate your national and major holidays, but there are a lot of other holidays and other days that you can go plug in and just have them there so that you know when they're going to be there. They're on the calendar. I can't tell you how many times I've called to make an appointment or do something, and someone has said, oh yeah, what about this day? And I have said to them, and they're scheduling my appointments, and I said, I think that's Martin Luther King Day or whatever, one of those holidays that's, it's not a major holiday, but is a national holiday, and they didn't have it written down, but I did. So make sure that you have those days written down, just because even if you're working, it can affect if banks are open, if other places are open, if your kids are going to be in school or not. Have those down. Have them in your calendar. Your vacations. If your family is planning on taking, that big family reunion next summer, put it in your calendar now. Just do it. Just get it in there. If you're planning on taking an amazing vacation, put it down. It's exciting, it's fun, and it's motivating to have that in your calendar. Birthdays. Hopefully you've never forgotten someone's birthday. Facebook makes it a little easier for our generations to keep track of people's birthdays, but have them in your calendar. Just have them there. Take the time to text everybody in your phone, or reach out to your mom or your grandma that has all those birthdays written down somewhere, and take 20 minutes to go plug all of those as recurring reminders in your phone. Just get them in there so that they're there, they're planned ahead, and you can kind of start filling in that year. Okay, as people are telling you stuff, as they're saying, yeah, our big work retreat is going to be this time, or our family reunion is going to be this day, or I'm flying out for Christmas on this time, just go plug it in your phone. Just get in the habit of planning ahead, looking ahead, and plugging things in. I just said that. Create a habit of looking ahead. Tomorrow, next week, next month, even the next year. Just set aside some time. I like to do it at the end of the month and kind of look back. Okay, how did this month go? What do I need to be doing next month? I do it on Sundays for the upcoming week. Just helpful. Schedule the time if you need to do it. Put everything in your calendar just in case. You can always delete it later, but put it in there and put as much detail as you can. I always share this story. Ryan's mom, Holdy's mom, she makes cakes, amazing, incredible cakes. She had been talking with somebody and they were talking about a cake and when it was going to be. So she plugged it in her phone, but she didn't realize she hadn't written down anything. All she'd written down was cake. So the day before, she got this notification on her phone, cake. And usually a cake is a multi-day process. And she didn't remember who that cake was for. She didn't remember what that cake was. So it was in her calendar, but it wasn't in enough detail to actually help her. Always put more detail than you think you need. You can delete it later, but it's better to have the information, right? Keep to-do lists or goal sheets for each month and then check in. This is easy to do on the Notes app or reminders. I keep a physical planner, so I have those months already laid out. I can just go write it down or pencil it in. So when someone says, oh yeah, we'll probably need to take a look at that again when the budget resets in January. So go write that down in January. Take a look at purchasing this thing so that you remember to do it. A really good example of that as we're coming up to Christmas, your mom mentions a gift she wants, but it's May, but she mentions something that might be a good gift idea. So you go flip to your Notes app in your phone or a calendar and put it into December and say, hey, mom wanted this. Mom mentioned this as a gift idea. So when all of a sudden it's December and you pull open your list and say, oh yeah, I have all these gift ideas that I've written down throughout the year. So I remember to buy them. Having somewhere that you can put that is huge. In a bullet journal, it's called like the future planner or your future log. So you have like all of the future months and you go pencil things in. So it can be as simple as, it's my kid's birthday in February. So in January, I'm going to spend some time planning gifts and a party. Go pencil it in so that when January arrives, you remember, oh yeah, I want to be doing this. Seems like it's overkill, but you'll only thank yourself for having that information. Okay, your next step of the process, planning the pieces. And this is what is really going to turn you into a master planner that is not a hot mess. You're not forgetting things. You're not late for stuff. You don't show up empty-handed when you're supposed to have something. This is where you really can eliminate some of the stressors in your life just by being a little more conscientious about how you plan for these different events. So you're planning the pieces that go with stuff. So as you're looking at your calendar, whether it's for today, tomorrow, next week, you're gonna look at these items and ask some questions. What is the start and end time? It seems self-explanatory, and a lot of you probably would naturally just put these in, but you would be surprised how few people do this or how often it creates a problem. What is the actual start time? They might say, hey, we're having dinner on this day at this time. Dinner time might mean something different to them than it does to you. So go ask them, figure it out and say, okay, when would this start? When would this end? For things that are more flexible, like, oh, we're going to go hang out. What times do you think that will be? Because that might affect your work schedule. That might affect what time you need to leave, which is another item on here. Travel time. If you put in there that, I need to go visit my friend on this day, but they live an hour away, maybe you should put that in there too, because that doesn't mean you can wake up an hour before you need to be there. It means you need to wake up an hour and a half so you have time to shower, get ready, eat breakfast, whatever. Those are the things that are going to make your life smoother. It'll make it so you're not late to things. It'll make it so hopefully you can skip out on rush hour traffic. Thinking about that. Travel time, also like cook time, I would add to go with that. Sometimes you look at a recipe and you think, oh, this is going to be great, but you don't realize stuff is supposed to be at room temperature or something has to marinate for 3 hours before you can throw it in the oven. Prep or supplies. Do you have to do anything to get ready for that event? Christmas is coming. Have you planned the prep or made a note that, oh yeah, all those presents I ordered on Black Friday that are coming today, those need to be wrapped before I leave for the party. I can't tell you how many times we have been frantically grabbing bags and tissue paper to stuff things in a bag in the car on the way to a party. So what do you need to have for this event? Do you need to have wrapped presents? Do you need to come with a slide deck ready to go for that presentation? Do you need to have a grocery shopping list or certain things that you need to bring? Are there certain supplies you need to acquire before this event or task? Okay, think about those, and you can plug those into your calendar as well. The day before, wrap those presents. Put this in the car. Outfit, materials, equipment. Do you need to bring gym clothes because you're planning on going to the gym that day? Do you need to bring a certain, do you need to bring part of your computer apparatus that you wouldn't normally bring? I don't know. You guys are the tech guys. I'm not. Do you need to bring certain equipment to help hang something or cook something? Those things, I'm a big fan of putting those in your car the day before so you cannot possibly forget them. Thinking about those and plugging those into your calendar makes you the opposite of a hot mess. You will be prepared. You will have what you need. You're not going to show up looking like a dummy. Meals or snacks, especially with kids. I've learned this. I have to plan ahead for, did they have time to eat? Do I have a snack? How long is this going to take? Is there going to be food there? If you're the type to get hangry, this is especially important for you. Are you going to have time to eat before? Is there going to be food there? Is it going to be food that you like? Do you need to bring a snack? Do you need to adjust your work schedule so you're taking lunch at a particular time? I talk about this with Ryan all the time. Sometimes he'll have back-to-back-to-back calls. So he has to eat his lunch earlier in the day or have some snacks that he can quietly eat even while he's on a phone call. Planning your meals and snacks. It seems crazy. It might seem so over the top. But at the same time, you've probably been there where you didn't anticipate, oh my gosh, I didn't even think I'm going to be stuck in this meeting or stuck in traffic or whatever, and I'm starving. So plan ahead for that. That's a piece of that plan. Money. Do you need to save up a certain amount of money? Do you need to bring cash? There have been so many times where I didn't plan ahead that, oh my gosh, I have to have cash for this. I never have cash. I do all of my banking online. It's all electronic. I never have cash, but I might need it for this. Do I need a check? Do I need to send a deposit first? This might also go with things like, how many times have you had an event and you forgot to print the tickets and thought you could just show it on your phone? A lot of times that's fine, but sometimes you actually have to have something printed out. This is what I'm talking about with planning the pieces. What are the pieces that go along with this event? Because in your calendar, all it's going to say is event from this time to this time. But what are the pieces? What are you supposed to wear? What about eating? What about stuff you're supposed to bring? I think I have coordinate on here. Yes, reminder, coordinate with others. I put that in my calendar all the time. A few days before an event, I will write down, text so-and-so to see if we're still on for this time or what time they want to leave or what they're going to bring. Reminding and coordinating with others is so critical, and there's so many times where you get to the event and realize, oh my gosh, I didn't tell them I couldn't come, or I wasn't going to be there, or I didn't find a babysitter for my kids or a sub for my class or whatever. So plug that into your calendar when you put down, oh yeah, I have this really great date with my spouse, so a few days before I need to find a babysitter, because you don't want to get to the day of and go, oh my gosh, it's a Friday night, there's no babysitters, we're supposed to do this thing. That's a piece. That's a piece of the plan. So planning the pieces are all those little things that'll just make it a little bit easier for you to take care of that stuff in your life. Ryan also wanted me to talk to you guys about goal setting. That's a big part of what you're already doing that, right? You guys have set goals. You are doing this incredible work at Lambda School. You're changing your life. You're starting this completely new path. With Lambda Next, you'll get a really good opportunity as well to set goals of what you're going to do every day to accelerate your job finding process. And as you get a new job, you will also want to set goals. And I love it. I'm a big goal setter. I'm a huge fan. Number one, set a goal you actually want to tackle. Don't do something just because somebody else is doing it. You don't have to run a marathon just because your dumb brother-in-law ran a marathon. It's dumb. right? Plan what you actually want to do because you'll be excited, you'll be more motivated. It's okay to say, I don't care about losing weight. I don't care about exercise. I don't care about this particular project. But I do care about this. So very first of all, ask yourself if you actually want to set that goal. You need to have diverse goals. I think we often imbalance our lives because we only set goals for our health or we only set goals for our professional life. But it can be so helpful to set goals in every area of your life. It keeps you just on balance. It keeps you improving and making yourself a well-rounded person. So especially as we're approaching the new year, this is a great time to think about this. Personal goals. Do you want to read more? Do you want to increase your spirituality? Do you want to work on, not drinking as much or not, doing some personal growth that you want to work on? Your social goals. Do you want to get out more? Do you want to throw parties? Do you want to volunteer? What do you want to do in your relationships with other people? Your professional goals, only you can know what that's going to look like, but you should always have a professional goal that you're working toward. Your family goals. Do you want to spend more time with your family? Do you want to be, kinder to your spouse or connect with your mom more because she would love it? What are those goals? And then, of course, health goals. Are you going to floss, drink more water, exercise, whatever? You should have a diverse range of goals. It helps you continue progress, and it also helps when you hit a stall in one of the areas, you can continue moving forward in another area. The real why is critical. That's one reason why losing weight is like the most failed resolution of all time, because people don't often have a real why. They don't actually want to lose weight. Do you want to be healthier? Do you want to look better? Do you want to be able to keep up with your kids? For your professional goals, why do you actually want to do that? Is it to make more money to save for retirement? Is it to get placement at a better company that has, something exciting that you want to work on? You have to really dig deep to uncover the why if it's ever going to happen for you. This is a big one. A lot of times people set a goal, but they don't actually know what the end point is going to look like. So take some time and fantasize about it. What is it going to feel like and look like when you are there? So when you buy that house, what is that house going to look like? What is it going to feel like? When you go on that vacation that you really want to go on, what is that going to feel like and look like? And what are you going to wear? What are you going to eat? When you get that promotion, what will it feel like when you're called into your boss's office to receive that promotion? When you're making that extra amount of money, what are you going to do with it? In excruciating, amazing detail, picture and visualize what the end goal is going to look like. Okay, reverse planning is huge. This is huge for your professional life as well, especially because I know in a lot of development projects, it's a big project. You know what the end is supposed to look like. You know how that website is supposed to function. You know what that app is supposed to do. Reverse planning is how you get there. This works for your social life. It works for your personal life, your health, your professional life. This is a great way to really break down your goals and make them realistic. So you plan it in reverse. You know what the end looks like. So then you work backward from there. What needs to happen the day of? So if you're going to run a marathon, the day of, you're going to wake up early, you're going to eat your gross protein pouches or whatever they do. I'm not a runner, clearly, but this, whatever I'm using, make it work for you. Whatever you're going to do the day of, you know what that's going to look like. Okay, the day before, what are you going to do? You'll rest, you'll carbo load, you'll whatever. Okay, the week before, you would be running, I think the most they ever run is like 22 miles or something like that. So then you'd say, okay, I'd run up to 22 miles the week before, and I would be, taking care of my clothing and figuring out the weather, whatever. So you would just start stepping backward. With parties, this is incredibly helpful. With a birthday party, the day of, you will hang the balloons, you'll pick up the cake, whatever. So the day before, you can clean the house, you can pull out the wrapped presents. You just slowly start stepping backwards from your end date and lay out what can be accomplished right before, 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before. What would that look like? You're just going in reverse. Put those in your calendar. So for your big project, if you, a week before, you need to have it, you need to be running tests or, have like your beta, whatever, up and ready to go, put that in your calendar so okay, a week before we need to have, an 80% up and running. Put that in your calendar. Put it on that Monday morning or Tuesday morning, whatever. So that is your checkpoint. So I made an example here. Your dream trip, you've been dreaming about taking this trip to Brazil your whole life. You're so excited, and this is your goal. This is what you want to do, is you want to go to Brazil next year. So the night before, you would be packing, maybe taking your animals to a pet hotel or kennel. You would be asking somebody to come house sit or water your plants, right? That's what you'd be doing the day before. 6 weeks before, you would be booking flights. You would be choosing a date 9 to 12 months in advance. And from there, you would fill in your budgeting. I need to save this amount every month. I need to go shopping for a new swimsuit. I need to go get a spray tan. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to book these excursions or activities while I'm in Brazil. And you've reverse planned it from the day you're going to go all the way up to today. So you've filled in all of that time with the steps that will take you to your goal. Start at the end, and then you reverse plan or reverse engineer it. This works for any part of your life, and it is how you make sure that you don't miss little things and you don't get, you can fight the urge to procrastinate, and you can take care of things in a timely fashion and in the order that they should be completed. This is so huge, and this is what effective people do. They think about the end. This is one of the 7 habits. Begin with the end in mind. What does it look like? And then let's go from there to make sure that we are hitting the target we actually want to hit. To track that progress, again, I've kind of hit on this. What is your end date? If you're going to go on a trip, it's pretty easy. If you have a deadline from your boss, that's pretty easy. For more ambiguous goals, like you want to work out more, you would need an end date to that. So you would say, okay, by March, I want to be working out 3 times a week. Great. So then you would reverse plan from there and say, okay, so then in February, maybe I'm 2 times a week. In January, I'm once a week. So right now I'll start working out every other week or something like that. Benchmarks that work for you. Some people need everyday check-ins. So you could put something on your calendar every day to say, check in with this. For budgeting and saving, if you have a financial goal, daily check-ins are pretty important. I think every day assessing your finances, saying, here's where we are, here's what I need to save, here's what bills are due, that can be huge. A daily check-in. So put it in your calendar that every day at 12, right before I leave for lunch, I'm going to check my stuff. Weekly check-ins. Monday mornings can be a really good productive time for saying, here's where I'm at. Maybe it's Friday when you're done with work and you check in and say, okay, what did I accomplish this week? Where am I at? What do I need to do next week? Monthly check-ins are huge too. The first or last day of the month can be super effective for you to check in and say, here's where I'm at. Here's where we're going. Schedule it. I've said it a million times, but it's gonna slip through. It just is. Our lives are busy. We have a lot going on. You guys are working so hard to learn all kinds of new things and implement them and then look for jobs. You have a ton going on. So if it is something that is important to you that you want to make sure happens, you're going to have to schedule it to make sure that it doesn't slip through the cracks. You're going to fail. And I say fail with a lowercase f. You will have days that you don't do that thing you were supposed to do. You're going to have benchmarks where you were supposed to be running 10 miles by that day, but you're not. You're going to have times that you do not meet whatever that expectation is. And it is so critical that you plan for that now and say, you know what? At some point, I'm going to trip and fall. I'm going to miss a benchmark. And instead of beating myself up and instead of quitting and saying, well, that's it, I can't meet it because I missed that benchmark, you say, okay, there it is. I failed, and that's okay. Give yourself grace. It's okay. You're human. You're making progress. And just the fact that you set a goal and are working toward it is pretty awesome. So you need to be able to pat yourself on the back and say, it's okay. I'm going to readjust. I'm going to, kind of figure out where I'm at now and make some changes and go from here, and maybe adjust your benchmarks as you go. It's more important that you're making progress and you're working towards something great than that you stick to an original plan. So be flexible and be kind to yourself, because you're doing great things and you're moving in the right direction. So it's okay to slow down or take a step back or reevaluate where you're at and what your benchmarks are. And that's it. I really hope that's not, I know that's a lot of information from somebody whose brain is very type A and works in a particular way. So some of that may have resonated, some of it may not have. So take what works for you and try it out. Start small. Maybe today you just try color coding a few things. Maybe you decide to just go plug in all the stuff for the next year. Maybe you decide to start planning the pieces of, your meals. Whatever it is, start small, and you can do it. You can make improvements to however you're planning your life right now. There are ways to improve it so that it can be smoother, and you can spend more time doing what you want and more time doing what's important to you and that's going to be effective for your life and your family and the people that you love. I am a big fan of planning. I think it can totally transform your life, make you happier, and help you become the person you want to be. So I would just encourage you all to start small and give it a try. And that's my presentation.
Awesome. Thank you. So we do have a couple questions that popped through Slack.
Great.
One of them is, which journal do you use for bullet journaling?
So it's actually locked down in the office with Ryan right now, but I use the Leuchtturm. It's Leu, and I could send you the link so you could throw it in Slack. It's like a German word, Leuchtturm. I think mine's the 1219 or 1912. I use a dotted one, so it's a hardcover with an elastic, and then it's a dotted journal, so there's just like these small gray dots throughout, and so you can draw in boxes, lines, you can doodle. I use like a little metal ruler for that. So I can send the link to Brie and she can drop it into the Slack of the particular journal that I use. Some people like to use the Moleskine planners that are blank pages or they're grid pages. Those work well too. I'm on my third or fourth of the Leuchtturm 1912 or 1219, whatever it is. And I love them. I think that they're really great.
So another question about the bullet journals. Ty asked, how far ahead do you make your bullet journal pages?
That is the one drawback of a bullet journal. And that's why for a little while I have switched to a paper planner that's lined out, because the bullet journal, you have to make it yourself. So I usually have I like a weekly spread. I have a monthly spread, and then like here's the month, and then I also have a weekly spread. I like to have a week at a time. So I usually have the whole month laid out in weeks, so 4 or 5 weeks at a time. That's where the future log comes in handy. So I'll have like, let's say at this point I would have December all lined out. But then I would have a couple of pages for January, so that as people are like, oh yeah, January we're going to do this, so we're scheduling this, I have somewhere to write it down, so that in the future, mid-Jan or mid-December, I would start thinking, okay, I need to sit down and draw out January. And I have a place where all that stuff is already written down, so then I can just plug it in once it's drawn, if that makes sense. So usually about a month in advance. And there's definite drawbacks to that, because you get a wedding or something else that's way far in the future. And like, that's why a Google Calendar with bullet journals work really well, especially because I don't like to carry my bullet journal around all the time. So that's when they really work hand in hand well together, to say like, okay, future stuff is all in my calendar on my phone or computer, and then I can write it down in my bullet journal as it comes up.
Perfect. So Michael asks, in books and other resources I've seen, people recommend scheduling out your entire day. Do you do this personally, or do you only schedule important tasks?
So I have found, I used to do that because I'm a control freak. I'm also a junior high teacher, so I didn't really have the option. My day was scheduled for me, right? Like when I was a junior high teacher, my day was was pretty much laid out. And so I just got in the habit of that. And I have actually found, weirdly, counterintuitively, that I do better when it's not all scheduled. I schedule important tasks. I also do time blocking, which I didn't want to get into or give you guys too much, but time blocking is essentially saying, my morning block, my midday block, I create these blocks that are 2 to 3 hours, and they're generally a dedicated block of time to something. So nap time in the afternoon, when my older daughter's in preschool and my younger daughter right now is the nap time block, that block of time is generally scheduled, and occasionally I'll have an appointment or something that is at 1 p.m. like this. But otherwise, that is my work time. And that's when I do my freelance writing or blogging, or on occasion, what I really need to do is just do my dishes, whatever. So that is my chunk of time. So time blocking can be more effective if you don't like to schedule every second of your day. Instead, you know that you've got this 3-hour block in which you can work on your side projects to do, open source code contributions for this chunk of time. But for the most part, I have found that having that time blocking and leaving one of my time blocks open every day is way more effective for me. I end up using that time more effectively than if I had said, okay, I'm going to clean my kitchen for half an hour, and then I'm going to run errands for half an hour, and then I'm going to work on this project for half an hour. I tend to get really frustrated with that. And I guess it would just depend on you and what works for you. I have found that scheduling blocks of time that are nothing, there's nothing there, there's some white space in my calendar, actually helps me be more motivated. It also helps me to not freak out when unscheduled things throw my day off, because that's the risk you take. If you plan every second of your day, you run the risk of being very frustrated when something throws that out of kilter. If your boss comes in and throws a new project on your desk, or you have a sick kid, or you get a flat tire or whatever, leaving some chunks of free time in your day, I think, is best for everybody's mental health.
Awesome. Well, that is all we got. Thank you so much for coming and sharing all of your awesome planning knowledge. If you guys have any questions, I can filter them to Danica, and we've got a couple. She lives with Holdaway, so he can probably pass them on too. Anyways, thanks everybody for coming today, and you guys have a fun time planning the rest of your week and planning December out. So
thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.